he's a federal employee.
Congresswoman, what do you have to say about the fact that FEMA just spent $59 million housing illegal immigrants while people in Western North Carolina lived in tents for the past 4 months? What do you have to say about that? The fact that Doge exposed FEMA for sending $59 million to house illegal immigrants today.
So while the Democrats continue to hoot and holler in the streets, acting completely deranged, President Trump and Elon Musk and our entire administration are going to continue to go line by line and treat this federal government like a business. Money in, money out. And what do we actually need to spend money on to advance America's interests? That is our goal here.
What about the groceries? Have they come down yet? I don't give a fuck about grocery prices.
This might be the most dramatic on-air moment we've seen from the left in ages. Karoline Leavitt took the stage and didn't hold back. She dismantled the arguments of the woke Democrats live on TV. In her bold address, she claimed that these activists and their media allies are out of touch, accusing them of being so blinded by their ideology that they ignore the collapse of their own agenda. Before we break down exactly how she delivered this knockout performance, check out this newly uncovered video that reveals everything they've been hiding. It's a real eye-opener.
40 million a week that comes on the airplane and comes into Afghanistan. So the plane comes in weekly. The amount of money on the plane weekly is 43 million to 87 million. But one thing I want Americans to understand is in that bucket of the 40 million we send each week, we are paying basically welfare to the Taliban martyrs' families. So every Taliban member who died during the war with us, the US government is paying them a stipend, the family. So our families of Americans who died there aren't getting squat, but we are paying Taliban families for basically dying while attacking us.
Whoa.
Yes, we're funding that.
This is just enraging.
And you know, I asked a couple of people that question straight out, like, do you not think this is not ethically correct? And actually one person gave me an answer of, well, it'll stop them from joining ISIS. I'm like, the Taliban guy's already dead. Like they give you these bullshit excuses as to why they're funding like our enemies. So
I think that's a huge problem in America to begin with, is making excuses
for terrorist sympathizing and not paying attention to the fucking money.
Meet Karoline Leavitt, a former CIA targeting officer and counterterrorism expert whose story has been kept from the public eye. Mainstream outlets like Politico have acted as gatekeepers, ensuring that this vital information remains hidden. While millions of dollars have been funneled overseas, pressing issues affecting everyday Americans are ignored. They invest heavily in immigration programs, yet fail to address real domestic concerns, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, a former IRS agent has stepped forward in support of Karoline, exposing how the system is being manipulated and arguing that American citizens are being misled by a single deceptive narrative. If you've heard about this before, share your thoughts in the comments below.
The Federal Reserve is not federal. How many of you did not know before today that the Federal Reserve isn't federal? If you didn't, don't be shy. If you didn't know before today that the Federal Reserve isn't federal, raise your hand. Most people don't know that. 9 out of 10 people that I asked off the street don't understand that the Federal Reserve is a non-auditable private banking cartel. They are collecting $36 million an hour in interest from the American people. $36 million an hour in interest from the American people. My children, my 2 children, were born $86,000 in debt based on the national debt. Now, why am I going to take away from those children to give to somebody that is going to be born in 2030? It's not going to happen. So that was my decision. It was very easy. You know, you think about stuff like fear. Oh, the IRS is going to get you. They're going to take your stuff. That's not important to me. Stuff's not important to me. My children are important to me. I'm one of those mothers that will roll up her sleeves with one leg and try to whoop you if you mess with my children. And I think that a lot of mothers are like that. So this is what my decision was. And I went on and started educating people. One of the things that people asked me once I made this decision and started talking about it, how are we going to run the country without the income tax? I don't know how much Dan got into it, but the Grace Commission report that Ronald Reagan put out in 1984, says that none of the money collected in income tax goes towards running the country. But the bottom line is it's not going towards running the country, so you patriotic people out there, you've been fooled. Beardsley Rummel, he was Federal Reserve Chairman back in 1946, did a speech before the American Bar Association. The title of his speech was Taxes for Revenue Are Obsolete. Within the body of this report, he says that the taxes, the income taxes for redistribution of wealth. What is redistribution of wealth? What is that? That's taking from...
Many people might not be aware of the full story. Just consider the scene when Trump addressed taxes. Many of his liberal critics were visibly rattled by his remarks. Meanwhile, certain media outlets push narratives that seem to contradict his actual actions. They've even gone as far as to label Elon Musk a terrorist, all while fixating on issues like race, gender, and other topics that some believe divert attention from more pressing matters.
Sorry, I'm laughing because this has to be a joke. The word wife is an example of the type of language that we need to eliminate. And I'm just asking if that's something you think is necessary or something you support.
I'd have to give that one some more thought.
If there's a pilot who is offended by the word wife or the word cockpit, maybe that person shouldn't be a pilot. So rather than kowtowing to people who are fragile, maybe we should actually say, if you're so worried about the words that we are using, you shouldn't be flying multi-ton metal engines through the sky. And I just ask all of us to maybe try to focus as much on real problems, like the fact that our aviation system seems to not be working as well as it used to, than the fact that we may use uninclusive or under-inclusive language.
These days, so many seem caught up in what some call a woke mindset virus, leaving them blind to the real issues around them. Just consider how Karoline Leavitt boldly stepped up, taking aim at these misguided voices and delivering a powerful lesson on what truly matters.